So this is our panel, Bank as a Service, in order to build an innovative strategy and services for the customer. So we are here with Felipe from Nubank, Fabrício from Bitcoin Market, Danielle, TCU, and Augusto Lins from Stone. So, okay. So I would like Danielle to talk about this topic and bank as a service that is going to be revolutionary for the market and provide innovative services for organizations. Thank you, Rodrigo. Thank you, Victor, and the whole organization of the meet for the invitation to participate in this event. It is very important for innovation. So for those of you who don't know, the CS1 Digital, we were known as Suscar Systems, and we've changed our names due to the condition that we have within the company. So today we mainly work with banking as a service and the evolution of what we have built with the processing of cards, and we have a very solid image. So once we talk as a strategy, banking as a service is an inclusion. We see as an inclusion because it allows us not only banks to operate with offering of financial services, but also the retail market to provide this sort of offering, and that generates inclusion and evolution. We see, and for those of you who've got the opportunity to see our exhibition stand, and those of you who didn't have the opportunity, so you'll be able to see Amazon Go, for instance, is one of the most non stores in the United States, and you can use the SO wallet, the banking as a service. So you will access our store and you will be able to test that. So you don't need to use QR code or payment mean. So you just go through there and then you just get the product, and then it's going to be discounted from your digital account. So we are positioning ourselves and we are bringing those benefits for the market, and because the retail market is not evolving with technologies in the financial market. So we are now proposing this speed. It's not only about investment because it would be faster for the retail market, but we see the evolution of this product. And who never went through the supermarket and that there was, for instance, a person asking you to subscribe to a credit card. So who never saw that, right? So we are including companies that were not part of the financial market and providing this new journey, this new concept. So we have the SU. It is the inclusion role with these organizations that need to have technology for that. I would like to ask Fabrício. Fabrício, starting with this business, with assets, how are you evolving these solutions in order to integrate all the banking as a service solutions? Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you to be talking about open bank panel and cryptocurrencies and how it all relates. So throughout during this panel, I will be mentioning two point of views. First, it is about the integration. Cryptocurrency, there are different characteristics. It is global, decentralized. There are different characteristics that it has been built to be in such a way. However, with the providers, service providers, they need to relate, for instance, with banks, other financial institutions. So this connection, it is also a challenge. Perhaps it's not only about this challenge, but it is the friction because the Bitcoin market. I'm a director of a company in this industry, so it's about ups and downs in the financial market with the status quo. So we see the open bank. We as customers, we see that as an opportunity for us to have new ways and having the connection between the financial market and the cryptocurrency. So we are projecting that in some years you will be using, for instance, a solution that Danielle has mentioned, DSIU, and you don't even know if you are using cryptocurrency or not, because services they will be all integrated, and the companies they will be using that the crypto universe, because at the end of the day the biggest impact is going to be the convenience of the end user. So we use an approach for the customer to be allocated and have um, this freedom, whether the customer wants to keep dollars or other currencies. Because once we think about the interaction, whether it is in the retail market, commerce, investment, transaction with an individual or any company, we want to have the lowest friction possible. And that these two words to be integrated for us in the Bitcoin market, our main activity is to be an exchange. It is a marketplace. You change the digital marketing assets, or it is also about how you keep these assets. And more than 20,000 cryptocurrencies. So when we think about the evolution of exchange, what is that for the future? It is about the exposition, because today you have uh, you have funds, you have the stock market, for instance, Mercado Pago, Nubank, and they all allow you to have this exposition to the assets, but they don't allow you to have this transition between wallets and different businesses. So for us, one of the first approaches would be uh, the open bank. It is another opportunity for us to build a better experience for the end user. Quite nice. About the story and the means of payment, you have the whole sales team. How are you preparing yourselves considering these new services? Thank you very much for the invitation once again. So we are living in an era that customers they are empowered. We as consumers we are also empowered. We are able to buy whatever we want to, where we want to, anywhere, and we can pay online, physical. So companies, the retailers, they are focused on understanding the experience they need to provide to their customers in order to attract customers, to make their customers be more loyal. So payment is an integration of the purchasing experience, because it's not worth it if you have a beautiful website, you select the product, and then when you go to the cart, you need to put, for instance, the full name of your mother and all of that. So those bureaucracy. So it's about this friction. And more than that, payment is one financial product. Banking as a service is not only about banking, it is about the whole financial activity, since investments, purchase of bitcoins, uh, insurances, that now allows retailers to not to be a transactional institution, but be more relational. So banking as a service allows uh, organizations to get into this market, to have this service. Stone is now an integrated platform with products. So with this view of supporting organizations to sell more and manage better their business. So then we've launched this type of service that it will allow customers to relate with their consumers more efficiently by helping them to sell even more and make them to be in contact with you regardless they go to the physical store or not. So it's about having this relationship.
Well, I just correct something. So I said that Felipe was representing, but I'm here with Nicholas actually. So just a small correction. So this company is focused on investments, but we can also think about how can provide integrated services to innovate financial services that can get to the clients with banking services. All right, don't worry because we know that the names of the companies are similar. So first of all, thank you for inviting me and for organizing this event. And to summarize, Warren, our goal is to deliver the best experience in managing heritage in the world. And in order for that to happen, we need to focus on our core business, which is investment. But at the same time, we need to deliver all the products and services that we provide. So I'm going to have two different parts of my answer. On the part of the consumer, there is a very interesting case. So we're just closing a deal with the cryptocurrency market, which is related to my car business, but it's not a game changer. Investment is the game changer for me, but I need to provide cryptocurrencies as well. A different case that we have is credit. I'm not becoming a credit company, but it's important to have credit services related to investment, obviously. But we need to have this services platform, and banking as a service helps me in focusing on my core business. It's my game changer, and at the same time, I can connect to these partners so as to provide this type of service. And at the end, the one that will read the most is the consumer, so it's super important for them. And as a supplier, we already have a platform for partners, and it's working as a white label. So we're working with CVM consultants, managers, and financial managers that work with us in a B2B model. So providing services through this platform, and we play with the name banking as a service. We say investments as a service, which is means to provide this experience so that other players in the tech sector or financial sector are able to consume or have our products and offering investment, which is our core business in that. So that's how we see that, both on the side of the consumer and the financing institution. All right, it's not really open banking, it's open finance because it's open investment, it's open insurance, open banking, open payments. So all financial services that thanks to technology have been made available in an industry that is highly regulated. So open banking makes possible for people who want to provide those services and are regulated by the central bank. There is a very important matter in that, which is protection against fraud, money laundering protection, And with open finance and open banking, you are able to provide those services in a simple, quick, and cost-effective way. All right, so we have a challenge when we're thinking about cryptocurrencies in this environment because cryptos are born open and free. So how can I possibly use these services? Well, you can go there and read the specs and do what you need to do. But there is this ethos that also works for the crypto companies. So since from D0 they have the APIs published so that you can connect to it, see the latest ratings through these APIs. So it's good to say that you see this entire world opening up, not only due to regulatory matters, but also the way that this connects to this open universe. So it's another as a service that is there. So this one would be cryptocurrency as a service, meaning that companies can connect to companies such as the Bitcoin market, and then they can provide crypto services through their platforms. That means that you don't need to do that directly. You can do that through a specialist. So I think that is a game changer. It might not change it today, but it will probably change someday. So I agree with you that you should not invest fully right now, especially in a platform such as MB. So for the first thing is, what do you want to provide to your client? Do you want to have uh, provide them services with cryptocurrencies, payment using crypto, staking? So there are so many possibilities that you could provide, and maybe you don't need to do that directly. And it's good to bear in mind that the regulatory matters in cryptocurrency is hot now. It's important now. So that's a very important thing that you mentioned because you notice this tokenization movement, and we can debate that in the different panels. So the tokenization of digital assets is that gonna shut down our registry centers? So I have a vote for yes, it will. But we notice this movement, and I want to comment what you just mentioned. So this bootstrap, in which you connect the entire background of systems, the legal background, the technological background as well. This is going to be large in the crypto world. So when I mention a credit company, you need to start with the regulators so that you can get into legal matters, then into the systems, and then it takes you from 3 to 4 years to actually provide this product. So you can run a pilot project fast, which is important because you can validate your thesis, but at some point you're going to get to this partner and say that you're going to start your own operation because it's not worth it. So it's something that we make as an agreement. Everyone understands the rules of the games, and everyone is helping one another, and you can still be a partner in other times. So it's important to bear in mind that everything is going on because we experience a very important and fundamental changing moment in our society. So society is becoming more digital. All of us are using more our computers, our cell phones. We're connected to many screens at the same time. And what we have been experiencing, and I think that the pandemic actually speeded up this process. So the amount of people that went digital during the pandemic was amazing. So you had to learn how to pay your bills from home, to buy from home, and then we got the federal subsidies that made every 30 billion people go digital. Then we got the PIC system, which grew amazingly, and a lot of people went digital because of that as well. Because to use PICs, you need to have a digital account, you need to have a digital bank account, and along with that, you have credit cards, debit cards, prepaid cards. So our society is going through this transformation period in which people are experiencing this digital inclusion moment, but also financial inclusion moment and social inclusion. So that's what making it possible. So the interest is grew over time in terms of making more transactions using the internet, using the apps, but also the crypto world. Well, it's good to bear in mind that all the efforts that our regulators have been carried out. So the BC Plus agenda, but also the hashtag BC, which made possible the PIX project, the Open Banking project, and banking as a service regulations. So 5 years ago, you wouldn't be able to say that. Most likely, regulated would say, "What do you mean? If you're not a credit company, you cannot regulate creditors." So regulators, they should be highlighted. Obviously, this increases competition, which is great for the consumer because they're able to consume the same services that were centered in a single institution. So it's good to decentralize the services. Yeah, very cool. So it's good to mention that in this innovation event, it's important to highlight that we're going through an innovation period. We're decentralizing services in large banks. In the old days, you need to go to a large bank to have a service. And nowadays, you're able to have any kind of business whatsoever of financial operations directly from your platform. So people mention the APIs, the integration, and offers. And it's good to see how your companies are providing that for any kind of business whatsoever. So we don't have the need for contracts anymore, or as we did in the old days before the pandemic, right? So as far as CSU goes, we were talking about banking services for companies, right? So can you mention what we can have access to for all the companies that are here today? All right, thank you, Rodrigo. The most important thing I would like to say is that if a company is able to get into financial services, provide financial products, and create everything from scratch, it takes time. So you have the regulatory matters, you have permits, you have a series of issues that take time. And your competitors, they are already ahead of you. So how can you catch up to them? So what I always say is that you have to work with partners, like Peixoto just mentioned, as Warren, that uses partners. So we have so many companies that are a part of our group today and use our access system, CSU, our permits, our technologies. And then at the right time, we'll sometimes go in-house or sometimes you expand it, but our role or the way that we see our role is how we can speed up this process of being inserted into the market. So if you go into a banking as a service platform, it's not just about having a digital account. That's the bare minimum. So obviously with that you can use Pix and other services, but the user, they want to use crypto assets, for instance. So diversity in Brazil is humongous. So you have people who use Pix, but you also have those heavy users that want to invest. They want to use DeFi. They want to invest in CDB and governmental bonds. So if you have all of that in this bundle, that will make possible for you to have these Lego pieces. So like a puzzle. So if you're not providing that, they consumers can say, I have this puzzle and I want this in my platform A, B, C elements, and with that I'm going to run it. So the company is actually responsible for your strategy, and we are there on the other side, responsible for regulations and technological innovation in such a way that everyone is able to participate. So we're actively participants for large companies. So AMI Digital is one of our greatest clients within CSU, but also the Porto Seguro insurance company. For those who are waiting for Formula One, you probably said that online, and it has been processed by CSU as well. So we have actually physical products that are used by cryptocurrency agencies and brokers, and we have our moderator representing one of those clients, which are one of our clients, and they are using these APIs. So that fosters and speeds up our process for technological progress. So it's not just about inserting the end user. Obviously, that is a thing. Obviously, with the pandemic, we we grew 10 years in 1 or 2.5 years. because of the pandemic, but on the side of the companies, companies have also evolved, and they have some companies have the capital to do that. Some of them don't. So how can we foster that with a lower cost and make the companies be part of the game, both in terms of retail companies or fintechs using large partnerships? All right, Fabrício, can we go move to you now? So you mentioned the totemization process, right? So this would be an alternative for people to have access to investments, right? So it was provided in the old days by large banks and investors. So how does this new business model works? Okay, a good question. In my first speech, I mentioned this fluidity in the cryptocurrency market. So you can pay however way you want, but with whatever you want, with assets. I mean, so a large share of these assets are cryptocurrencies. But to better understand that, they're not bound to anything, meaning they represent themselves, and Bitcoin is the best example for that. So the crypto world, it allows you to use these platforms to create this what we call totemization. So digital initiatives and shared networks for real assets. So Brazil was a pioneer in the totemization. We started with dApps, then consortiums, and then we also totemize receivables, but also things related to real estate and soccer. So it's really about that, being able to create this representation in a blockchain with all the safety and transparency that this set of technologies present to you, so that you are able to create these representations for assets that were not accessible by usual investors. So a good example to that, and I always like that, is the consortium quotas. So whenever you buy a quota, you're buying something to buy an asset at the end. So there is a very important asset, which are the quotas that people give up halfway. So 50% of those quotas, the person behind this consortium does not wait until the end. So they have a partial share, and they need to wait until the end for this group to be over so that they can get the partial amount of this asset. So within this market, you have this asset, and they buy those quotas with a discount. They carry out the totemization process, and they sell it to the end user, meaning that the investor is gonna cap a part of this profit um, through this asset plus interest until the end of a project. So you have short-term operations, 5 to 6 months, up to long-term that could get to 30 to 36 months. So these are parts of these alternative assets. So assets that are able to find in a regular investment platform, but through this totemization process, you are able to come up with a robust and safe structure so that they can have a profitability that is much higher than in regular assets of similar risk in the traditional market. So totemization is a way for you to create those new types of assets, usually parts of larger assets, which would be unaccessible, and they are usually complex. So our first case, for instance, so if you buy a governmental bond, the diligence that you're going to do is not accessible for everyone. So that's not meant for a usual investor. So you cannot do due diligence for this asset. You're not going to even be able to find this asset. So it's quite sophisticated. So when you insert that in this Bitcoin world as a participant of this market who is going after those quotas so they can carry out the totemization distribution process afterward, things get simpler, and the investor is able to access these assets that banks are able to access. So you have this governmental bond with a very good profitability rate for the investors, and at the end of the day, it's a risk for the federal government. So if you think about the totemization, what comes after that? What else can be totemized? Everything basically. So what we do in the Bitcoin market is what we call the non-security token. So you're doing a lot of security tokens. So for real estate assets, so totemizing real estate assets, which is regulated by CVM in Brazil, an institution for regulatory matters. And for the totemization of real estate assets, we thought, what is not a real estate asset? So we have these bonds, regulatory letters that are non-real estate assets, and then we do this totemization and provide this as a financial service. So
And that is very close to the regulation. So the gray zone gets very dark. So having this dialogue with the regulator, CVM, it is essential for us. So then the innovation will be evolving, will be advancing, and considering a regulatory aspect and a regulation that is going to be pro innovation in Brazil. Same way that you've mentioned here, the applications of the crypto, the banking as a service, we have very simple applications, and uh, and any organization can be benefited from it. We see companies on the marketplace creating, developing marketplace, their own apps, their own loyalty programs. And in a very simple manner, it is possible for you to develop, to design campaigns that you can provide cash back, that you can make your customers loyal, and also to have your sale and loyalty program to put, for instance, a bill, and then the customer will be able to download it. You'll be able to have campaigns. So banking as a service has emerged as an alternative and in an implementation for you to work with campaigns, provide offerings, and work in a very fast way to fidelize your customers, and not only to be attached with the central bank. So Daniel, we have installed various customers, payment solutions in the digital and physical world, and also within the apps. So you have the functionality of the financial product embedded. So you have an application, and you will have a wallet, an account, financial functionality, and then throughout the customer journey, you will make it available for customers, for them to do whatever they would like to. If they want to buy insurances, if they want to have cash back, because the reality is that we all need to have financial services, but not necessarily banks. So it is an alternative to create financial services in order to provide to customers. Well, what we see when a company is seeking for an ecosystem bank as a service, it is about how can we retain customers within the system and make them return to have that recurrent revenue. So since loyalty programs and the ecosystem, so they continue purchasing, they invest in social security, insurances. So banking as a service, it is for you to have this recurrency with customers in the ecosystem. It's not only, for instance, I'm going to turn into a bank. No, we know, for instance, Banco Inter that also works with delivery. So what happens is we have evolution, the challenge to keep their customers within the same ecosystem, right? Because if everything is on one single system, then the customer will be loyal. So banking as a service is for that. So companies that are getting in this environment, it is about how can you explore, how can you provide more products, more services, and retain customers within the ecosystem. That is key. How can we generate these recurrence? Not necessarily these offering might be, for instance, we see those products in the journey, the customer life cycle. Perhaps it is not going to be very profitable. So I will be able to focus on the core business, on the differential. And we see that throughout the journey, it is important to retain the customer because recurrence is important. It is important for you to provide those services to them. Otherwise, they will switch to another institution and they might go well. So that's why it is important to provide a complete service, a complete platform with this chain of services and uh, and also the value proposition. And it's important to see the consumer journey and also the entrepreneur point of view. It's very tough, right? Retailers and well, you have, for instance, thousands of payment slips, and you need to register on the system, and the due date. You need to pay the payment slip. You go to the RP, and then you also need to work with the accounting department. So you have RP of sales. You register the payment slip, and then on the due date, the RP, you have the bill itself, the banking as a service. And if you want to pay, then it automatically goes to the accounting. So it's time saving, and it will make entrepreneurs to have more time because they want to provide services to their customers. So banking as a service is also something very proactive. Well, we know about this challenge, right, of the business because banking services, well, sometimes we need to download the receipts. So we want to make it very accessible and to make easier your life and also your business by using this chain of services. And everybody that likes innovation and seeking for innovation would like that, right? So last last 10 minutes left. Final considerations. I'd like to also to invite you, for those of you who haven't been on our exhibition stand, we are talking about frictionless customer experience and how to use that. So we have a brand new solution in the event. And for those of you who would like to get to know more about, and if you'd like to feel the experience of a purchase experience without needing to download an app or pointing out your cell phone into a QR code, but having your digital account, so you will be able to use this device and you will be able to pick the product and pick from the shelf, and you will be able to have this purchase experience. It is one of the products that we have today available on the market. So get the best of these. Two comments. First, we are living in a moment of digitalization of consumers. The central bank has made brilliant work, turn our society into a more open environment, considering what it has been before, because it was very vertical and centralized. So, so then it makes opportunities to be raised. It is about studying about the open banking. The open banking is in its initial phase, but we have a different opportunities that can be captured with banking as a service solutions. So I personally think that all the commerce retailers can be benefited from that. I also would like to invite you, but it's a more comprehensive invitation. For those of you who haven't get involved with cryptocurrencies, my my main invitation, and if I don't buy the assets, I will recommend it, because then you can have investments as well. But it is about what these technologies are doing. We've talked about centralized financings, and we were not able even to talk about other very important topics, because it is something new. The open finance, crypto, is from 2008, 2009. Well, the rebel folks, right? But it's something brand new, and in the Bitcoin market, it is just like well, it is still too soon, because you've got here as individuals, but as also professionals. How can the cryptocurrency help your organization and other services that you can provide to your customers by using these technologies? And even if you think about the current moment, we are talking about the market drop. We had 12 months of the Bitcoin, but it is a very important moment. So many things are being developed at this very moment. No euphoria, because the executives, they are not very vibrant considering before time. So it is a very important moment, even considering the development of all of that that can be expanded to other organizations. The central bank is a supporter of the cryptocurrency industry, even though they are not the regulators. They haven't been appointed as the regulators, but Roberto Campos Neto is one of the biggest professionals who is creating this central bank currency here in Brazil. It is a very fertile country. We have access to technology, good professionals. So then Brazil can be one of the very important hubs. It is not a hub at this current moment, but it can be a market for that, and we can all be benefited from that. Well, we get very content to see these events being held. Banking as a service is very important, but it's also about monetary um, issues. It is important to talk about that. And everybody's here, so you will get to know about the open banking and how you can provide it in your business. So if you'd like to get more information about it, white label. So if you'd like to try it, once again, the regulator, this panel here is provoked because of the reforms and economy agenda. We want to improve the banking system. That's good. So it is a moment for challenge and switching, changing, because we can have access to new experiences and not only depend on others. It is centralized, so it is a way for you to think different and also having partners to offer services to our customers. Thank you very much for this panel. It has been quite good. So now you can do the networking. Thank you.